Writing a family history can be challenging, but what if there is a story generator that could make the process super easy? My colleague and friend, Marion Pierre-Louise, who happens to be the online education producer for Legacy Family Tree webinars, suggested I try out OpenAI ChatGPT to write family histories. After reading numerous articles about using OpenAI ChatGPT to write novels, like this one, I thought this should be easy, right? Stick around because this was actually kind of fun. Howdy, my name is Devin Noel Lee with Write Your Family History. I'd like to teach you how to write your family histories so that your families can know their legacy. It is easy. But is it as easy as a ChatGPT? I think I didn't bury the lead. The answer is no. So first, I am going to test a ChatGPT's ability to write a biography about a somewhat known individual. His name is Luke Norris, born in 1985 in Romford, England. Now, before you shout, privacy, protect the privacy of the living, which is an ethical tip, which I discussed in the webinar linked in the description box below about writing ethically, let me have you hold on just there. One of my favorite television miniseries is Poldark. The man on the right is Dr. Dwight Ennis, played by Luke Norris. So I'm choosing someone who is a celebrity in his own right, and therefore ChatGPT should have no problem writing a biography about Luke. So I type in my prompt. What do I want ChatGPT to do? I want it to write a biographical sketch about Luke Norris with a few biographical details. Click the arrows to submit. And notice my question is right there at the top, and ChatGPT went through the process of writing about Luke Norris. Did you notice that it talked about Luke Norris being a playwright and an actor and appearing in television shows? But I didn't see Poldark. That's a problem. So what can we do? Well, we can actually evaluate the quality of this prompt by telling ChatGPT, hey, you forgot something. In this case, I wasn't completely conversational, but I went ahead and said, Luke Norris, Poldark. And yes, I forgot to capitalize Poldark, but that's okay right now. So I went through and I saw that this version of the biography started with Dwight Ennis in the lead paragraph. That's much better. If this had been your ancestor and you were writing a family history and forgot something super important, like they were a politician or they wrote an important book and the ChatGPT didn't pick it up, that would be problematic. So we have established that ChatGPT can write a brief biography about someone famous. So let's try me. In this case, my name is unique enough online that I just typed in, write a biographical sketch about Devin Noel Lee. And it went through and started saying, Devin Noel Lee is an American genealogist, author, and speaker who is best known for her work in the field of family history and genealogy. She was born and raised in Texas. We have a problem? No, I was not born in Texas. Has been interested in genealogy since she was a teenager. Lee started her career as a teacher. No, I started in business and worked as a software engineer. No, I'm not an engineer, not even in the slightest. She began writing about genealogy in the 90s. No, I began researching in the 90s and started her own genealogy blog in 2007. Well, that's accurate. She has written numerous books on genealogy. That's correct. A recipe for writing family history. That's correct. The missing pieces, discovering my father's World War II diary. My father didn't serve in the World War II, so I would never have gotten a diary. Lee is also active in the genealogy community. She is a member of the Association of Professional Genealogists, I was, and the National Genealogy Society. I've never been a member of that society. She volunteers with the Texas Genealogical Society. Well, not really. I've spoken at their conferences and I helped write some stories for their newsletter, but I wasn't really a volunteer there. And she has served on the board of I have not served on the board. I don't know whose name is Devin or Noel or Lee that served on the board of directors for FGS. So, yeah. This is a half no. So what should I do? Well, we could actually go through and we can tell ChatGPT that they have a couple things wrong. So first, you can go through and click the down button and provide some additional feedback. I could say this is harmful. It wasn't harmful. It just wasn't true. And so I could go through and explain that and click this feedback button. So I told ChatGPT I did not write those 2 books. Try again. And at least ChatGPT is relatively friendly in explaining, oh, I'm sorry I made the mistake. Let's try this again. And again, we go through and Scene, known for her work in genealogy, born and raised in Texas, still can't get it all right. Software engineer, but this time I've written the book Vital Records Handbook, Focus on Your Family and Preserve Your Family Pictures, How to Save Photo Heirlooms for Future Genealogists. Once again, ChatGPT can't get this right. Once again, I told ChatGPT that that's inaccurate. I didn't write those books, so it gave me a new version and more books that I didn't write. ChatGPT, you're failing. So let's go ahead and say, hey, wait a minute, ChatGPT. You forgot to mention that I have 2 YouTube channels, Family History Fanatics and Write Your Family History. I was never an engineer and not a member of the National Genealogy Society. Let's see how many corrections it could make. Again, it apologizes for the inaccuracy and goes through and tells you some of the things before began her career as a teacher and worked in the technology industry. No, I didn't. And now I still have those 2 books, Vital Records Handbooks, Preserve Your Family History, but it also says, oh, hey, wait, she runs 2 YouTube channels and talks about what I share on those channels. So that's great, but it still has me at the board of directors on Federation of Genealogists, but I'm not a member of the National Genealogy Society. So I really have to take a lot of time to train ChatGPT how to write an article about myself so that it doesn't keep misattributing things that I did. So yeah, lesser known people. I hate to say that I'm lesser known with the amount of content I put online about genealogy education, but I'm getting confused with other people. Many of your ancestors are not famous, not even remotely famous like Luke Norris. So what then? So then I attempted to have ChatGPT write a biographical sketch about my Canadian ancestor, Robert Victor Zemstein. Once again, ChatGPT is not being accurate. The first attempt ChatGPT made was to confuse my ancestor with someone who became an aviator and made all this historic jumps. And I told ChatGPT, no. And I tried to look up saying maybe there's other Robert Victor Zemsteins that ChatGPT is confusing my ancestor with. And I couldn't find anybody named Zemstein or Robert or Victor that fit those associations. So I tried it one more time today, again, to see what ChatGPT has learned about my ancestor. And it says, son of German immigrants who settled in Canada. Yay! From a young age, he showed aptitude for science and mathematics and developed an interest in engineering. He was a physicist, so I'm not sure. After graduating from high school, he enrolled at the University of Toronto to study engineering. He did go to University of Toronto, but not for engineering. It was physics. And he went to MIT. No, he went to Iowa, Michigan, and Ohio states. So as you can see, we are quickly heading in the wrong direction of confusing my ancestor with the wrong people. So ChatGPT had a problem giving you important details about a somewhat famous living person. Then a non-famous living person confused them with other people. And what's interesting, I forgot to mention this earlier, that the names of the people who wrote those books have nothing similar to my own name. One was Amber Richards, and the other was like Thomas Jones or Thomas something else, right? Not even close to Devin Noel Lee. And so this Robert Victor, once again, is a failure. I tried one more time with Effingham Townley, and at least to ChatGPT's credit, they were confusing my Effingham Townley with somebody else named Effingham Townley who was alive in the same time place, but just a little more famous. So of the 4 biographies, ChatGPT did okay on Luke Norris. You give him a correction. It's like, oh, I didn't know you wanted to know about Poldark. Then it did half okay with me, and then it did terribly with my grandfather or great-grandfather, Robert Victor Zemstein, and could never realize that it was confusing Effingham Townley. So the next question I had for ChatGPT is, what sources are you using? Well, ChatGPT failed the genealogical proof standard. Let me show you. So I typed in the question, what source citations are you using? No matter how many times I ask ChatGPT, it tells me I don't have personal opinions or access to external sources. I generate my responses based on yada, yada, yada. And no, I'm not going to give you your source citation references. So as a genealogist, should you be using ChatGPT? Probably not. ChatGPT fails in 2 ways. The first, when it comes to individuals, it does not seem to differentiate between one person and another. Maybe I didn't give it enough information to get the biography started, but it also confused people whose names are completely different, and that's not good. The second way ChatGPT fails is to write something that would meet genealogical or even journalistic standards. Facts without sources is fiction. In any of these prompts, had GPT provided references, we could review the accuracy of the responses. I'd love to know where ChatGPT pulled the information about me being a software engineer, serving on the FGS board, and wrote books that I didn't write. Only then could I offer the AI tool tips on where it went wrong. ChatGPT might be helpful if you're trying to write an unsourced novel or perhaps an essay about George Washington, but I don't think your English teacher is going to appreciate him because you don't have sources for that essay about George Washington. However, there's no substitute for doing the hard work of writing your ancestor story. But the good news is, using the research you've gathered, you will find the process I teach on Write Your Family History to be easy and quick. If I've given you a fun exploration into ChatGPT and family history writing, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, and maybe go try ChatGPT out and see if you have any more success than I do. But if you really want to learn how to write your family history, check out this playlist that's all about drafting your first story.